first thing I did was take the cap off of the brake fluid reservoir because I'm going to be collapsing the calipers and that will cause back pressure. So yeah, I opened that up. We're going to be replacing these brake pads. First thing that we're going to have to do is get this caliper out of the way by accessing these two 14mm bolts on the back. I got a little swivel socket just to make it a little bit easier on me, but you could use a short socket, it's fine. Let me get that opened up and we'll take a look at what's next. Alright, took them loose. Just take them out just like that. Set them off to the side, and then you should just be able to jiggle this free and off. Alright, now I got a special tool to collapse this caliper. People have used a C-clamp, things like that. It's fine. I don't normally leave that hanging, but honestly it's not too heavy of a caliper. I'm not going to worry about that. Next we're going to remove the two brake pads. I'm just going to use a big screwdriver. I could get it out by hand actually, but I'm going to use a screwdriver to get it out of the way and get the little holders here, get them out the way too, this hardware. I'm going to get that out because we're replacing all of that, so give me a second. Alright, I got all that stuff out of the way. Now what I usually do is when I take the brake pad off, I'll take it off, I just lay it down so I can remember which one goes on what. See, this one's got the little squeal tab or the stopper tab to keep it from moving around. I got to make sure that the new one goes in the exact same way. Alright, so here I've got the brand new brake pads, brand new hardware. Next what I'm going to be doing is using, this came with some grease. I've got some synthetic grease that I also like to use, but basically you just have to remember to make sure that you lubricate your components before assembling. You don't want to leave it dry because that will cause a squeak and customer comebacks. So I'm going to put a little bit of grease right here, which is where the hardware goes, and on the opposite side of this, and right here, and again on the opposite side. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Now usually I would use a little acid brush to swipe this on. I didn't have it on me, so I had to use my hand. This is the grease that I used for it. It's pretty good, but you can see I just kind of dabbed it, coated where it needed to go. Next I'm going to take the hardware and kind of press it into its place, right, both sides. You got to make sure that they go all the way or else the brake pads ain't gonna fit. I'm about to set the other one up and I'll give you a second. It's a little tricky to do it one-handed, and they are a little bit bent up out of way. That's why it's tricky to do one-handed. But after that, you are basically just gonna set the brake pads in. I usually do the top one first, and then that's why it's important to make sure that they all sitting right. I'm about to put the other pad in and I'll be right back. Alright, so we have officially replaced our brake pads, and that would be good enough, huh? Psych, job is not done. Next we're going to pull out these slide pins here. We're going to wipe off this old grease and we're going to re-lubricate them to make sure that they're operating properly, because if they get stuck, that could cause the caliper to freeze up and end up having to replace the caliper as well. So we're going to make sure we do our maintenance right. Okay, we have applied some grease on it, looking good. We're just going to slide it right back into the slide, give it a few little op tests, make sure that that grease gets all the way up in there. Put the other one right in there, same thing, move it around, make sure it's good, and then now we're going to start working on this guy. Alright, so this is called a caliper collapser, and basically you just kind of screw it to where it's tight there, and then you've got to crank on this to collapse the caliper. I can't do it one-handed, so you're gonna have to give me a second. You're going to want to make sure you collapse it all the way to as far as it'll go. And now this is the point that I was talking about, the reason why I took the cap off of the brake fluid reservoir, because all the pushing that I'm doing right now is moving fluid back up the line. All right, so that's as far as it goes. And you just kind of crack it back and ejecto. All right, and here we've got it already all collapsed. Give me a second so I can slap it back on. All right, and then it's literally as simple as just putting it right back where you found it. And then those 2 bolts that we left off to the side, we're gonna put them back in their home. Excuse me. Pretty easy. Here we go. You see how it's spinning that other one? Sometimes you'll have to use a wrench here to hold it in place. I'm gonna just do it by hand because I was able to do it on the other side just fine. Give me a second, I'll tighten this up. All right, I just took my ratchet and tightened them down, and they are good to go. They're still gonna be a little loose, but only because we haven't pumped the pedal yet to you know, extend the caliper out to where it meets with the pads. So next we're gonna put the wheel back on and torque everything down. All right, I got the wheel reattached. Now we're gonna take the jack out from under it and torque the wheel down. All right, we are all torqued down. Next thing that you wanna do is put the cap back on the brake fluid reservoir and go pump the brakes a few times to make sure that you got proper contact between the caliper and the pads. Thanks for watching, guys.